Beware of people who fear the earth's destruction, but make no effort to save the world in which they live. They are demons too. They are controlled by fear. They are possessed by fear as it incubates in the heart and core of their very being, like receptacles for all sorts of disastrous energy. They are the gurus of dark meditation, and when the moment arises, these worried states of being provide the proper esoteric material which turns into building blocks for dysfunctional realities. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, but it is also a powerful tool even when it is rotting away. It assists in the decay of the environment due to the ego of the individual who possesses such a mind. What once was considered to be negative is now perceived as something positive. For years, I have been baffled by the fact that there are so many people in the world who believe that speaking out about the world's problems without providing an effective solution is a positive thing. Focus is still being placed on the negative principle, as if fate has no hope. These demons creep into society, often going unnoticed, but they can be easily detected by their sighing and throwing of the hands up in the air, their great laments of, "What can you do about it?" simply reveal their persistence on feasting away at the decay of the world and have proven themselves to be anything other than concerned. They are too lazy to think of a solution, but they will certainly entertain themselves for countless hours with the simple doctrines and ideologies of television. Their self-righteousness precedes them. Listen to the words that they use. "I told you that already. See, you should have listened to me." They want us to believe in their God, which is no more than a replica of how they think held out as some sacred symbol of the world according to their beliefs. And when the world doesn't conform to their ideas, they begin to pray. They have built a machine inside of themselves that guides them from one experience to the next, but they have no control of it. Are you frightened by the amount of responsibility it takes for you to live forever? There are people who commit crimes in an effort to raise money for their family. And one day the victims of these crimes will claim the members of the criminal's family as victims of their own. Repeat, there are people who commit crimes in an effort to raise money for their family as victims of their own. Experiences like these happen on many levels due to the multiple personalities that so-called law-abiding citizens is in possession of. Every individual is the leader of a monstrous parade where all sorts of hideous creatures dwell in the psyche, and in front of the crowd is someone holding a flag of either domestic or foreign origin. The insanity of each person being their own president in a world where it is all about them is the foundation of spiritual capitalism. So what if people still have respect for a pregnant woman? So what if the father of the child has to worry about his own personal safety while walking home alone at night? Then the short-sighted individual cannot see that extending courtesy to a pregnant woman is a farce, especially if the man in society is not respected as contributing factor to the pregnancy as well. How are the men treated in your community? In cases such as these, we find that men are a mere reflection of a woman, and a woman is a mere reflection of her community. How often do you think about the vagina that you came from? In what ways is the vagina that you came from different than any other? Regardless of what we believe in or who we think we are at any given moment, the majority of people living on this planet have participated in the act of masturbation. Participants in the act of masturbation include people from all walks of life, even government officials. Participation in this act clearly indicates that all human beings have the same needs despite the aesthetics of the superficial orgasmic world and all its propaganda. Based on the act of masturbation, the thinking individual upon whom this doctrine of masturbation is primarily concerned with is able to see that civilization as we know it today is based on two psychological events: imagination, and self-gratification. Due to the working class's heroes' denial of their own private indulgence in the act of masturbation, the modern world has become suffocated by violence and despair. We have become sexual fascists. It has become very acceptable to watch homicide on television, the end of human life. But any behavior expressed in erotic literature, which basically encourages the procreation of the human species, is looked upon as evil. Our guilt hangs above us like a dark cloud, exposing our nightly excursions of going into the refrigerator while everyone else is asleep and eating the very same thing that we deny in public. We do not trust ourselves because we refuse to admit to ourselves that we enjoy touching ourselves. This is where the individual becomes the paradox and the answer is mistakenly sought after in some external world. The majority of people living in this world deny the fact that they do not know themselves. They are looking for an answer to a question that they have about what is going on inside of them and what is going on outside of them. An inner ignorance that is followed by an exclamation point. Exclamation point. Everyone in society is walking around like this. Exclamation point. When you look at the faces of people that you encounter in your day-to-day journey, notice how suspicious they act around you. Notice how they make sure that all their belongings are safely held onto because they do not have a soul to call their own. Casually they stare at you. You are a suspect in their lives without them even knowing your name. We are a society of individuals locked up in a psychological cages, waiting to be led further into the bonds of slavery. We desire things that are not good for us. Some people don't want to think about the deeper things in life. What kind of person prefers not to exercise the muscle of thought? Many people have forgotten that the thought of honesty is understood in every language, and due to such unity among all people is a possibility. Exclamation mark. We cannot find the answers by studying conclusions, gravitating and stealing impressive thoughts of what someone else said. Sometimes in metaphor or in proverb and scripture is more detrimental to society than stealing money. There's no solution in this because you do not know how the author, guru, or poet arrived at this particular conclusion that we admire so much. So many people mimic beautiful words while leading empty lives. It is a proper etiquette to study the steps as to how one is able to arrive at the answer and then live the answer out. This is the living work, and from this work we can procure knowledge for ourselves that we have worked for. However, in order to begin this process, we must take off all our clothes. Nationality, race, religion, sexual preferences, and political castes. Whatever psychological clothes you are wearing must come off. Otherwise you will go insane. Exclamation mark. Why be part of the right religion? And in order for that religion to be correct, the world as we know it must be destroyed. And you, as an individual, apart from your religious dogma, really don't know what's going on to happen to you when you die. What's going to happen to you when you die? Why would you do that? There is also the fact that if enough people believe in something, it just may happen. We must first understand how worshiping something affects the object or force that is being revered. The Milky Way galaxy is filled with about 100,000 million stars, and there are millions of galaxies in the universe. If anyone believes that the source of all this stellar energy is concerned with who inherits a piece of land in the Middle East, then that individual should not be allowed to take a seat in any government agency. So please, take off that tired-ass sweater called religion. Just take it off. Allow your skin to breathe. Take off those boots that you're wearing too. These are the very same boots that you put in a racial classification. And everywhere you go, you are forced to think about what other people are thinking about you. You have this big name tag stamped across your forehead where the physical characteristic, not the spiritual essence, becomes the very principle upon which a person's character is judged. Now, in order for this way of thinking to stop, it has to begin with how we think of ourselves, how we think about ourselves. It's all about our perspective and approach to life. Martin Luther King's birthday is not an African American holiday. It's an American holiday because Americans had to learn equality. How can you kill millions of people and propagate the idea that they hate you when they haven't even lifted a finger against you? It's like smashing a dog's eyes out while he's licking the palm of your hand. The idea of race is not working out so well nowadays. We should examine race to see why it has become so valuable in modern society. We are all composed of the same material that originates from the very same planet that we are living on, the same planet. Take off those boots. Those soles are worn out. Okay, I want to see what's beyond the underwear that you're wearing. Those political values and conspiracy theories. Yes, some of it is valid on both sides of the coin, but can you please explain to me the concept of protest? How effective is it when you have to get permission to protest from the same person that you're protesting against? Come on, take it off. Now, doesn't that feel a little bit better? I know it does. You have been wearing these psychological clothes for the majority of your life. They are dirty and stinking. You need to bathe your spirit and your mind. You are naked. This is intimacy, and without it, there is no spirituality, and without it, there is no survival. Let's make love.